Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in our course, this React 18 course, after a few videos, you'll be able to create your own application from scratch and also add some basic components to your project and create a communication between them and link them. Right, exciting. So, but before that, we have to hold on a bit and we need to have a very good understanding of the components. What is components, how they are used, how they are written. If you have a basic understanding of the components, then the further you go in the course, it'll be much easier to understand what you are doing. So I will show you a basic component which is written here. So we have a mix here. If you can see, like there's a JavaScript, there is an HTML. So that's how we write our components. Basically, the components is just a JavaScript function, okay, that is declared in JavaScript. So that's our declaration. We have const, we have our variable name is banner or our function name, and then we define it here. The only thing bizarre here, or is added to us here, is that we can see it's returning HTML. As a return in the function, which is very new to us, and that's simply how the components are returning a JSX. So this is not called HTML, it is not HTML, it's just JSX. So what is JSX? JSX stands for JavaScript extension, which looks like an HTML, but it is not HTML. Okay, so why did it that? Why they make components written this way in React? So they do that so for us as developers it would be easy for us to write the components in JavaScript. Okay, then you'll say how the browser will understand this. The browser only understands JavaScript. So to make sure the browser understands our components and what it does, we need some tool to translate our components into a full JavaScript function that our browsers will understand. One of the tools which are very famous and they have been used from the first days of React, it's called Bevel. So if I go here, so we have Bevel and it have full documentation on how to get it set up. Lucky for you, because this has been from a long time, things are ready and you can just have a template for React and you start from there. So you don't have to go through all configurations. But in some scenarios, you want to add some specific configurations. If it is documented now, everything is well versed and you can easily find answers for your questions. So let's forget about Bevel now because we're not talking about Bevel in details, but just know that your components are written in JSX, JavaScript extension, and we use a tool which calls Bevel to translate that to us to a full JavaScript that our browser can understand. So if I go here, try it out, what I will do, I will copy paste this basic function here or components we have here. I'll just copy it and I'll paste it in here. And you can see it's translating to us on what the browser understands. So what Bevel does, it will take this for us and translate it to a full JavaScript function that our browser can understand. So what this function does, you have here your constant name, which is same, banner. And what this function is returning a React create element from React. Okay, and the element will be an h1 and the contents for our elements is hello world. Okay, then we will say what next then. I mean, it's return for us react.create element, but still how our browser will render this for us in the website or our UI. React have another thing called React DOM. So what that React DOM, it pick up your code, which is this one from Bevel, and translate to you again to a full JavaScript function. Or in case sometimes you're returning, it will return full HTML elements that you can render in your browser, which in this scenario to be like this one, to be full h1 hello world / again h1 to close it off, like a full HTML element. Okay, so we create our components in JSX, right? And these ones, they are declared in JavaScript file, but they are returned a JSX expression. And .jsx basically looks like HTML, but it is not HTML. Then we use a tool to translate for us data into full JavaScript, and the tool we use is something like Bevel, like we have now here. And then after Bevel translate for that code, React have another core called React DOM that pick up that Bevel translated script and deploy it to our browser in fully meaningful, understandable way to have our HTML rendered. To know about the components, when you come to name them, you can't just name them any way you want. You need to have capitalized camel case wording. So for example, I can't come here and make this one lowercase. It will not just work. The first letter should be always capital. Okay. And other thing, for example, let's say here I created another component called slideshow, where I'm using the banner component like this. So this is how you import or use your component that you built. An extra p tag there. So we can't have in the return many elements, JSX elements in the same route. We need to have one single route here that can wrap up these two together. So that's why we need a div here to hold whatever other content inside. For some reason, if you don't need this div to be doesn't have styling, it doesn't have anything addition for us, it's just for purpose of writing our components and to be a wrapper for our content for the component, we can make it here. So this one in React is possible. So basically it's just like a fragment, a wrapper to hold our content. Okay. So remember, inside your components, when you have a return, you can't have many element siblings directly. You need to have one single child, and then inside you have as many as you want. Okay. In React we use class names, we don't use class, and that's a difference. Where if you want to apply styles to your component, make sure your attribute name is class name. If you just put class, it will not work. It's a reserved keyword in JavaScript, so basically we can't use it now here, and that's why in the components they used as a replacement class name to apply styles to your elements. Paste our components here into our Bevel, and we see how the output will be. Okay, there we go. So this is our banner and this is our slideshow. You see how it's written? So let's create your div element, then create inside of it a banner element and append it to it, and then create a p element with a class name of bold text and with this content. So imagine with me, which one will be easier to write, left or right? Of course, left side. It's more easy to write, more easy to read, more easy to change, more easy for everything. Even your eyes will like it, you just want to write more. But when you could look at the right side, it's just too difficult even to read. So how you can imagine how much hard it will be to write a full application using the code on the right side. So, and that's why when React came, they have this new thing coming called JSX to make your code or writing code much easier and much readable. So, and for the component is another way of writing components in React. So we have something called class components. So like the way I showed here in the second example in here. So the way it is, you create a class and you extend it from the class components from React. And then you have a render function and then return function. And in that return, you put your JSX code, okay, like here. But as you can see from the first look, the class one is much more complex, much more longer than the previous one. And that's why now it's more in React 18 they're focusing on function components, and at some point all this type of class components will not be used at all and they will not be supported. And in doing our course, we'll be using also functional components because they're just easier to manage, less complex, and also many features now in React, they only work in functional components, and there'll be new features as well coming soon. They'll be only working with functional components and they will not be working with class-based components. So just for you to be aware of, if sometime you joined a project which was existing from a long time, you see something like this, you will not be shocked. That's just an older way of writing your component. So stay tuned with us, and we'll be learning much more about React in our next video. Hit the bell button, subscribe so you get notified when I push my next video.